in your experience working with clients, right? Have you seen situations where a partner knowingly or unknowingly sabotages a woman's fitness goals? And if you did, how can women navigate that dynamic?
It happens a lot more than we realize. Insecurity. Insecurity, I saw it all the time. It was the number one thing that I would ask a lot of the clients that I work with. Every time they sit down, I'm like, what brought you here? The minute they say, well, my husband or my boyfriend, red flag. Red flag. I'm saying to myself, okay, this is going to be a bit of a challenge, right? Because then I always have to tap in deeper. Okay, so was it a you thing or was it them thing? They're like, okay, well, it was me, but it was like a going back and forth. So the person would feel like I do need to go and get into shape. I need to do this for myself. But then they would feel a level of sometimes discouragement from their partners because they weren't on the same track. Like I remember she's like, I'm making healthy foods and he's bringing home takeout and
I'm
fast
trying to eat that.
foods. So it has posed huge issues in a lot of relationships. And the number one thing that I always say to them is like, obviously I spoke about insecurity. I'm like communication. Obviously you can't go into people's marriages and tell them like, oh, I leave. But I'm like, okay, communication. And I would say to them, I'm like, I think you need to emphasize that this is important for you and that you need a supportive partner. Like, listen, you don't have to tell them to jump on the bandwagon with you. That's your choice. But if you are able to communicate to them and say, listen, I really want to lose this weight. I would feel a lot better about myself. But it's hard. It's really challenging when you bring home these foods. So I try to tell them to have this communication with their partners. And in some instances, it has worked. And there have been partners that actually jumped on the bandwagon. And I took on husbands as well as the wives. But then there were just partners that were just completely, I wouldn't say against, but they were just not supportive. And a lot of that just stemmed from their level of insecurity, them seeing their bodies transform. And then there's a whole nother level of confidence that comes when you start to see your body look good and you're starting to wear certain outfits now, you're comfortable about it. And your partner is not really liking it because they're rooted in the person that you were before versus the person you are now. It's a very hard transition because usually at that space is a lower, I want to say a lower vibrational space because this sounds very insensitive, but they're not at their peak of self-esteem or confidence. So they're sort of like doormats, a lot of them. They're coming in, they're doing everything for everybody else, and they're just like, okay, finally, they just said to themselves, enough is enough. I matter, let me take care of myself. And when people are used to you operating from a certain space, not only are you shifting that, but you're physically transforming, you're physically ascending, you have this level of confidence. It can be a hard pill to swallow. So it can be challenging, definitely.
And I think that needs to come up more in the conversation of fitness. Because if you do have a partner and they're not supportive or your inner circle is not supportive, I kind of see that as you have your inner struggles, but it seems to be a big form of discouragement why people quit.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think people need to understand I don't know how to say this, but I remember going online and they were like the best couples, like athletes make great couples. Like if you have a partner that was active, like or an athlete or somebody who's active or involved, they make great partners. They understand versus, and I'm not saying that it can't work either way, because there are people have never worked out a day in their life and they take on fitness and living healthier, and then their partner jumps on. So there are circumstances like that. But for the most part, when you deal with a partner like who has also been an athlete, you get it. It's a level of discipline, a level of no nonsense, because you're like, okay, we got to get it to the table, we got to do this, and you just sort of snap into it. Whereas somebody who is not used to or has not been acclimated to that space, that could be a lot challenging for them.